Europe's most misunderstood country may also be one of its biggest surprises. Beyond the headlines lies a nation of ancient forests, medieval castles, remarkably low street crime, and traditions that have survived for centuries. So what is Belarus really like? The answer may surprise you. Introduction to Belarus. Hidden in the heart of Eastern Europe, Belarus is a landlocked country bordered by Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Russia, and Ukraine, covering approximately 207,600 square kilometers with a population of around 9.4 million people in 2025. It is one of Europe's larger nations by area, yet remains one of its least visited destinations. Its capital, Minsk, is a modern city known for its wide boulevards, expansive parks, and striking Soviet-era architecture. Unlike famous European destinations such as France, Italy, or Germany, Belarus rarely appears on mainstream travel itineraries. One reason is that it has long remained outside the spotlight of mass tourism, while its unique history and geopolitical position have made it less familiar to international visitors. As a result, many travelers know very little about what the country actually offers beyond its name. But those who take a closer look often discover a surprisingly different side of Belarus. Nearly 40% of the country's territory is covered by forests, making it one of the greenest countries in Europe. It is home to thousands of lakes, vast wetlands, and the ancient Bialowieza forest, one of the last remaining primeval forests on the continent and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The country also preserves centuries-old castles, distinctive traditions, and a rich cultural heritage shaped by both Eastern and Central Europe. Although Belarus may not be Europe's most famous destination, its peaceful landscapes, fascinating history, and authentic atmosphere continue to intrigue travelers looking for places that remain largely untouched by mass tourism. In this video, we'll uncover the facts, culture, and everyday life that make Belarus one of Europe's most overlooked countries. Location. Belarus occupies a strategic position in the center of Eastern Europe, serving as a natural crossroads between the European Union and the East. The country shares borders with 5 nations: Russia to the east and northeast, Ukraine to the south, Poland to the west, and Lithuania and Latvia to the northwest. This location has made Belarus an important transit corridor for trade, transportation, and cultural exchange for centuries. One of the country's most distinctive geographical features is that it is completely landlocked. Unlike many European nations, Belarus has no coastline and no direct access to the sea. Instead, it relies on railways, highways, and inland waterways to connect with neighboring countries and major ports on the Baltic and Black Seas. Despite this limitation, its central location has helped Belarus become a key logistics hub, linking markets across Europe and Eurasia. Belarus lies mostly on the East European plain, giving it a landscape of gentle rolling hills, fertile farmland, dense forests, and thousands of lakes and rivers. The country's highest point, Dzierżynskaya Hara, reaches just 345 meters, 1,032 feet, above sea level, making Belarus one of the flattest countries in Europe. This relatively level terrain has historically favored agriculture, transportation, and settlement. Geographically, Belarus is often described as a bridge between Eastern and Western Europe. Throughout history, major trade routes, military campaigns, and cultural influences have passed through its territory. Today, the country continues to connect different regions of the continent, blending Slavic traditions with Central European influences. Its unique position has shaped not only its economy and infrastructure, but also its rich and diverse cultural identity. Area and population: Belarus is the 13th largest country in Europe, covering an area of approximately 207,600 square kilometers, 80 with 200 square miles. Although it is larger than countries such as Greece, Hungary, and Portugal, Belarus has a relatively modest population, giving it a spacious and uncrowded feel. Vast forests, fertile farmland, rivers, and lakes dominate much of the landscape, while urban development occupies only a small portion of the country's territory. As of 2025, Belarus has an estimated population of around 9.1 to 9.2 million people, continuing a gradual decline that has been observed over the past decade due to low birth rates, an aging population, and outward migration. Despite this trend, Belarus remains one of the more populated countries in Eastern Europe, with the majority of its residents living in cities rather than rural areas. The country's population density averages about 44 people per square kilometer, significantly lower than many Western European nations. This means large areas of Belarus remain sparsely populated, contributing to its reputation for peaceful countryside, vast forests, and unspoiled natural landscapes. Outside the major cities, visitors often encounter quiet villages surrounded by open fields and woodlands. The nation's political, economic, and cultural center is Minsk, the capital and largest city, home to approximately 2 million residents, or nearly 1/4 of the country's total population. Other important cities include Gomel, Belarus's second-largest city in the southeast; Brest, a historic border city near Poland; Grodno, known for its medieval architecture and multicultural heritage; Vitebsk, famous for its arts and annual cultural festivals; and Mogilev, a major industrial and educational center in the east. Together, these cities form the backbone of Belarus's economy while preserving the country's unique blend of history, culture, and modern urban life. Natural landscape. One of Belarus's greatest treasures is its remarkably well-preserved natural environment. Often called one of Europe's greenest countries, Belarus has managed to protect much of its original landscape despite centuries of political change and industrial development. Today, more than 40% of the country's land is covered by forests, making it one of the highest forest coverage nations on the continent. Endless stretches of pine, birch, and spruce forests create a peaceful landscape that changes dramatically with the seasons, from vibrant green summers to snow-covered winters. Belarus is also known as the Land of Blue Lakes. The country is home to over 10,000 natural lakes, along with more than 20,000 rivers and streams that weave across the countryside. Many of these lakes are exceptionally clean and surrounded by untouched forests, making them popular destinations for fishing, kayaking, hiking, and wildlife observation. Lake Narak, the largest lake in Belarus, covers nearly 80 square kilometers and is one of the country's most visited natural attractions. Unlike mountainous European countries, Belarus lies almost entirely on the East European plain. Its gently rolling terrain consists of fertile farmland, wetlands, broad river valleys, and open meadows. The lack of high mountains has allowed agriculture to flourish for centuries, while also creating ideal habitats for countless plant and animal species. Vast marshlands, such as the Polisia region, sometimes called the Amazon of Europe, represent one of the continent's largest remaining wetland ecosystems. Belarus is equally famous for its rich wildlife and protected natural reserves. The country's most celebrated conservation area is the Białowieża Forest, a UNESCO World Heritage Site shared with Poland. This ancient forest is one of the last surviving primeval woodlands in Europe and serves as a refuge for the European bison, the continent's largest land mammal. In addition to bison, Belarus is home to wolves, lynxes, elk, brown bears in limited areas, beavers, and more than 300 species of birds. With 4 national parks, the Berezinski Biosphere Reserve, and numerous protected areas, Belarus continues to preserve one of Europe's most diverse and unspoiled natural environments, making it a hidden paradise for nature lovers and ecotourists. History and independence. Belarus has one of the most complex and turbulent histories in Europe. Situated at the crossroads of East and West, its territory has been shaped by centuries of shifting borders, powerful empires, and devastating wars. Rather than existing as a single independent state for most of its history, the lands of modern Belarus were ruled by different kingdoms and states, each leaving a lasting mark on the country's culture, language, and identity. During the Middle Ages, much of Belarus became part of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, one of Europe's largest states at the time. In the 16th century, it joined the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, where Eastern and Western European traditions blended together. However, by the late 18th century, the Commonwealth was divided in a series of partitions, and most Belarusian territory was absorbed into the Russian Empire, dramatically changing its political and cultural landscape. The 20th century brought some of the darkest chapters in Belarusian history. During World War I, the country became a major battleground, and its borders shifted once again. After the war, Western Belarus became part of Poland, while Eastern Belarus formed the Belarusian Soviet Socialist Republic, one of the founding republics of the Soviet Union in 1922. In 1939, following the outbreak of World War II, the divided territories were reunited under Soviet control. No event had a greater impact on Belarus than World War II. Occupied by Nazi Germany from 1941 to 1944, the country suffered catastrophic losses. Historians estimate that about 1/4 of Belarus's population perished during the war, one of the highest proportions of any country involved in the conflict. Hundreds of towns and thousands of villages were destroyed, and Minsk was left almost entirely in ruins. The immense human and economic losses continue to shape the nation's historical memory today. After the war, Belarus entered a period of rapid reconstruction as part of the Soviet Union. Large factories, power plants, railways, and apartment complexes were built across the republic, transforming it into one of the Soviet Union's leading industrial centers. Minsk was almost completely rebuilt, with wide boulevards, monumental public buildings, and modern housing districts. Industries such as heavy machinery, tractor manufacturing, electronics, and chemicals became key pillars of the Belarusian economy, while education and healthcare expanded significantly during the Soviet era. People and culture. Belarus may be known for its forests and historic landmarks, but its greatest strength lies in its people and cultural heritage. Positioned between Eastern and Central Europe, the country has developed a unique identity shaped by Slavic traditions, neighboring cultures, and centuries of historical change. Despite modernization, many Belarusians continue to preserve customs, folk music, crafts, and seasonal celebrations that have been passed down through generations. The overwhelming majority of the population, around 84%, identify as ethnic Belarusians. The country is also home to minority communities, including Russians, Poles, Ukrainians, Jews, Tatars, and Lithuanians, all of whom have contributed to Belarus's multicultural history. This diversity can be seen in regional traditions, cuisine, architecture, and local festivals. Belarus has two official languages, Belarusian and Russian. While Belarusian is regarded as an important symbol of national identity and is taught in schools, Russian is the dominant language in everyday life, especially in cities such as Minsk. Government institutions, business, television, and most daily conversations are conducted primarily in Russian, while Belarusian is more commonly heard in rural areas, cultural events, literature, and traditional music. Most Belarusians are bilingual and can switch naturally between the two languages depending on the situation. Religion continues to play an important cultural role, although Belarus is considered a largely secular country. The Belarusian Orthodox Church is the largest religious community with most believers belonging to Eastern Orthodoxy. Roman Catholicism is the second largest faith, particularly in western regions near the Polish border. Smaller communities of Protestants, Jews, and Muslims also contribute to the country's religious diversity. Beyond worship, religious traditions remain closely connected to national holidays, weddings, Christmas, Easter, and other family celebrations. Physically, many Belarusians share characteristics commonly associated with Eastern Europe. Fair skin, light-colored eyes, and blonde or light brown hair are relatively common, although darker features are also widespread due to the country's diverse ancestry. These traits have developed over centuries through a combination of Slavic heritage, historical migration, and the northern continental climate. Of course, appearance varies greatly from person to person, reflecting the country's rich genetic and cultural diversity. Tourism and entry requirements. Belarus has gradually become more accessible to international visitors, although entry rules still vary depending on a traveler's nationality. Before planning a trip, it's important to check the latest immigration requirements, as visa policies and border regulations can change over time. In recent years, Belarus has introduced visa-free entry programs for citizens of a number of countries to encourage tourism. As of 2025-2026, citizens of many European countries, including Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Poland, the United Kingdom, and several others, can enter Belarus without a visa for up to 30 days per visit, with a total stay of up to 90 days per calendar year under the current temporary visa-free regime. Travelers from many other countries, however, may still need to apply for a visa or an electronic visa before arrival, depending on their nationality. Because these regulations can change, visitors should always verify the latest requirements with Belarusian authorities before traveling. To qualify for visa-free entry where applicable, visitors generally need a valid passport, proof of sufficient funds for their stay, and medical insurance that is valid in Belarus. Some travelers may also be asked to show a return or onward ticket and documents related to their accommodation. Entry conditions can differ depending on the border crossing point or the traveler's citizenship, so checking official guidance before departure is strongly recommended. Another important requirement is temporary residence registration. Foreign visitors who stay in Belarus for more than 10 days are generally required to register their place of residence with the local migration authorities. Fortunately, this process is usually straightforward for tourists staying in hotels, as the hotel administration normally completes the registration automatically during check-in. Travelers staying in private apartments or with friends or relatives should ensure that the registration is completed according to local regulations to avoid fines or administrative issues. Climate and the best time to visit. Belarus experiences a moderate continental climate, with 4 distinct seasons that each offer a different travel experience. Thanks to its inland location and relatively flat terrain, the country enjoys warm summers, colorful autumns, snowy winters, and mild springs. Weather conditions can vary from year to year, but each season highlights a unique side of Belarus's landscapes, cities, and traditions. Winter is the longest and coldest season, typically lasting from late November through early March. Average temperatures range from 4 Tardeg to 8 Degi, 25 Deg to 8 Deg in January, the coldest month, although cold waves can occasionally push temperatures below 20 DGC 4.1 particularly in eastern regions. Snowfall is common throughout the country, covering forests, villages, and historic castles with a thick white blanket. Frozen lakes, winter festivals, skiing, ice skating, and holiday markets give Belarus a distinctly northern European atmosphere during this time of year. Spring usually arrives between March and May, bringing gradually warmer temperatures and blooming forests. As the snow melts, parks and gardens fill with colorful flowers, while migratory birds return to the country's wetlands and nature reserves. Temperatures generally range from 10 degrees TC to 20 degrees CC, 50 deg to 68 deg, by late spring, making it one of the most comfortable seasons for sightseeing, hiking, and exploring national parks without the larger summer crowds. Summer, from June through August, is considered the peak tourist season. Daytime temperatures usually range between 22 degrees C and 27 county, 60 degrees to 81 gar, although occasional heat waves may push temperatures above 30 degrees, 86 gar. Long daylight hours provide excellent conditions for visiting castles, relaxing by Belarus's thousands of lakes, cycling through forests, or enjoying outdoor cafes and cultural events in Minsk and other cities. Nature is at its greenest during this season, making it especially popular with photographers and eco-tourists. Autumn, stretching from September to November, transforms Belarus into a landscape of brilliant gold, orange, and crimson. Temperatures remain pleasant during September, often between 12 degrees C and 20 degrees C, 54 deg to 68 deg, before gradually cooling later in the season. The colorful forests, quieter tourist attractions, and crisp weather make autumn another excellent time to visit, particularly for travelers interested in photography and scenic road trips. Economy and cost of living. Belarus uses the Belarusian ruble, abbreviated as BYN. Cash remains useful in traditional markets, smaller shops, and rural communities, while bank cards are widely accepted in Minsk and other major cities. However, foreign-issued cards may not always function because of international banking restrictions, so travelers should carry more than one payment option and exchange money only through authorized banks or exchange offices. Official figures show that the average gross monthly wage exceeded 3,000 Belarusian rubles in May 2026, although actual earnings vary considerably by profession and region. Technology, finance, engineering, and specialized industrial jobs generally offer higher salaries, while agriculture, retail, hospitality, and some public sector positions tend to pay less. Average figures can also be misleading because many workers earn below the national mean, especially outside Minsk. Housing is usually the largest monthly expense. In Minsk, a one-bedroom apartment may cost approximately 950 to 1,500 BYN per month, depending on whether it is outside the center or in a central district. Prices are generally lower in regional cities such as Gomel, Mogilev, or Vitebsk, and considerably lower in small towns and rural areas. Utilities are often more affordable than in Western Europe, partly because household energy prices remain regulated, although heating costs rise during the long winter. Food, public transportation, and locally produced goods remain relatively affordable by European standards. Imported electronics, clothing, medicine, and vehicles can be much more expensive. A person's real cost of living, therefore, depends heavily on lifestyle, family size, location, and whether housing is owned or rented. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has also affected the Belarusian economy. Sanctions and restrictions have reduced access to some European markets, international finance, technology, and transportation routes. Belarus has responded by redirecting more trade toward Russia and other non-Western partners, increasing its dependence on the Russian market. Energy, fertilizer, machinery, and petroleum products remain important parts of the economy. That concludes our journey through Belarus, a country of rich history, breathtaking nature, and a culture that continues to evolve in fascinating ways. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to support the channel and help more people discover amazing destinations around the world. Thanks for watching, And we'll see you in the next adventure.